It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chili Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to the Travel and Cruise Industry Podcast here on the end of November, almost the end of November at least. This is, what is today? Today's November 28th. Coming to you from my studio in Bedford County, Virginia, right outside of Lynchburg. Good morning, y'all. Glad to have you with me today. Of course, today's show is brought to you by Will U.S., the owner of Scoot Around, and by Chili's Cruises. There may be a change coming up to some of that, but we'll see. Got some things to work on this weekend. We've got a whole slew of stuff today. After struggling to come up with news stories for the last, 2 months, all of a sudden today I'm buried and didn't get to a couple things that I could have used today. The lead story this morning, a Virgin Voyages honors Joan Templeman, the wife of Richard Branson. Also today, America cruise passenger missing in St. Maarten. British fugitives ran bar with Thai nominees. That's illegal in Thailand. Japan itineraries designed around cherry blossoms. Costa Cruises launches 25-26 South America season. Queen Mary 2 delays and itinerary changes. A beach club delay. A Conquest Propulsion issues. Carnival Venezia has a slight embarkation delay. Holland America Lines Macy float. The Grandiosa heads west. Montego Bay back open, and national parks to launch America First pricing on January 1st. That and lots more live here at 11 o'clock this morning. All right, folks, today is Black Friday, of course. A day for me to stay inside. I wouldn't go into anywhere near a store today for all the money in the world. It's also National French Toast Day, so stay at home, shop online, and have some French toast. That sounds like a wonderful day to me. This day in history. And I have to admit, I did not realize that this went back that far. But in 1925, the Grand Ole Opry begins broadcasting. I got to share a story with you about. No, I wasn't around in 1925. I was a little bit later. And as I was growing up in Roanoke, I was not much of a country music fan. And when I was in the 8th grade, I got mononucleosis really bad. So bad, in fact, that I was in bed for 16 weeks. One of my teachers would go around to all of my teachers and collect assignments for the day and bring me my assignments to do in bed at home so I could keep up and not miss a year. Her name was Junie Radford, by the way. She and my sister went to school together. She was a great English teacher. But she did that every day for 16 weeks. It was amazing. Toward the end of it, when I just wasn't getting better, I wasn't getting my strength back, the doctor finally says, well, you need to take this boy to Florida and get him into some warm, hot weather and see if that does it. Well, I had an uncle, matter of fact, he lived here on the farm. My mother's brother was a CPA. And he took off every year on April the 16th to go on vacation, the day after tax day. So I guess my mother was talking to him, and he says, well, we're going to go to Florida. We'll pick you up, and the four of us will head down to Florida. And my dad was with Hertz Rent-A-Car. He had arranged for us to pick up a car in Miami and drive it back to Roanoke so my uncle and my aunt could go on their vacation. So they picked us up. I got packed into the back seat of his car, and we got to the first motel of the evening, which was somewhere down in Tennessee. And he puts the television on and puts it on the Grand Ole Opry. And I'm a little, what was that, 10, 11, 12-year-old kid, whatever I was in the 8th grade. I said, I don't like country music. And he says, well, did you ever listen to country music? And I said, well, no. He said, well, let's give you a little education. And I sat there for, I don't know, 2 hours or something back in those days, listening to country music. I've been a country music fan ever since. I'm a fan of any kind of music. I'm also a fan of opera, concert music, anything. Anyway, so that's how I became a fan of country music, and my son has taken on much in my footsteps. Of course, he's more into like the mountain music. But yeah, so that's how I got to like Grand Ole Opry. But it began in 1925. All right, if you're a podcast person, you can always access my blog access this show via my blog. Let's get the tongue and teeth working. My blog is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Just search for travel and cruise industry news, and up pops the fat guy. All right, a couple of announcements of upcoming events. On Wednesday, Jordan and Jared of JJ Crew will be with us live right here on this channel. Been a while since they've been on. I am so looking forward to that. My next cruise is, of course, in February 7th and February 14th with our whole little group we've got put together on the MSC Grandiosa. 1 week is Eastern Caribbean, 1 week is Western Caribbean. Many of you might remember here about 10 days ago, I announced that Steve Krushel, formerly of the Wildlife Park in Haines, Alaska, was going to be with us one day. Well, I talked to him again over the holiday. I became aware of him via Dr. Oakley, Yukon vet. She went into his facility and worked on a couple of his animals. Following some legal issues, he's now in Yekaterinburg, Russia. And I was sharing some emails back and forth trying to come up with a date when we could do an interview. And he's having problems in Yekaterinburg with Wi-Fi. It lasts 3 or 4 minutes and then goes out for an hour. So he says, this is going to have to wait until I get into town when I've got a decent Wi-Fi signal, and I'll contact you and we'll do the interview then. I said, okay. I said, just, if you have any idea when you're going to be in town, let me know so I'll be prepared for it, because, Russia time and our time could be, really different. I have no idea what the time difference is. I think it's about 8 hours. But anyway, it's going to be interesting to have him on. I have also sent a message through yesterday. In my niece became friends with Emmett Smith when she was in college to be a zookeeper. She went to Santa Fe College, which is right next door to the University of Florida, when Emmett Smith was the big football star there. And somebody Amanda was dating at the time was in a fraternity with Emmett, and she got to meet him several times. I met him in Pittsburgh once, and we talked about Amanda. And I saw him on the game yesterday. You know, he did a headshot of him from home, wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And that man still has one of the prettiest smiles I've ever seen. So I said, well, maybe I can get him on one day. So I sent him a message. I haven't heard back from him yet. But that would also be fun if that could happen. All right. Medical update. Ding, 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 ding. Those of you that have been with me every day know that we found out that I am now anemic. And I wasn't sure what they were going to do about it. Well, I'm now sure. For the next 3 Tuesday afternoons, because it's got to be done before January 1st. For the next 3 Tuesday afternoons, I have to go through iron. They're not, what do they call them? Iron infusions, which is a fancy way of saying it's in the bag and they stick it intravenously to put iron in my system. I have no idea what that's going to be like, if there are any side effects. I just go and they stick me. And, you know, with the blood thinner, that's going to present a problem. But I mean, you can read it all. It's all right there. All right, we got a ton of news this morning. So, first I got a couple other things. Before I get to the news, I'm about to run off in a hot air Tom and Katie behind the barn. I don't want to do that. All right, so let's see what we've got over here in the way of pictures. Hot Air Tom had some Eggs Benedict and thought about me. Those look like pretty good Eggs Benedict, too. Apparently, this has been really good food on Oceania. Of course, it's a new ship. They're doing a pretty damn good job of it. They did a wine tasting. That would have, I don't know if that was yesterday or the day before. I can't keep up with the schedule. I know they're in Miami today because they're switching. You know, they got to get off the boat and get back on the boat for the second half of this thing. That was I think the wine steward. My mind went blank on what you call the SOM word. So, and then they went to the creperie. Now that looks really good. I'm not a huge crepe fan because crepes are, I did crepes for a while with my funnel cakes, and they're just too labor intensive to make any money. I got to be able to, and when I was in the business, I got to turn that money quickly. Well, a funnel cake takes 45, 50 seconds, and that's $5, right? So a crepe, even if it's $5, $6, $7, it's several minutes. Plus, you got to put all the extra stuff in it, as you can see there. But anyway, so the creperie seems like it does put out some pretty good-looking stuff. Let's see, that would be Angela. They're on Liberty of the Seas for the Thanksgiving cruise. That's our own Katie Kendricks. And this would have been part of turkey dinner that must be in the Italian restaurant, because that's where you dip the bread down in the olive oil and whatever goes in wine, whatever goes in there. Hot Air Tom loves that. I'm not a big fan of that, but anyway. And I wasn't sure if that was soup or gravy. Still not sure. So, yeah, then that's nice looking bread. Very nice looking bread. And of course, this would have been a turkey dinner yesterday. Not a bad looking meal for the holiday. Smashed taters. And that would have been, I guess, Angela's. That looks like something a little different. That might be pork. I'm not even sure what that is, but anyway. And some interesting looking desserts. I know what this big boy is. That's that damn 10 layer thing, and that's a little piece of pumpkin pie. I had a piece of pumpkin pie about that size last night. It would be, what do I have here? Yeah, there we go. That's Sylvia, my friend Sylvia. She's at the Alfred Inn in Winter Haven. This is Katie's cousin, Johnny Quinlan. He's now in New Orleans, many of you remember. He went out for a walk in Crescent Park along the river and up the steps. Love JQ. He's awesome. And this came from Robin Hughes, one of my cruising buddies. She was on a couple of the solo cruises I did way back when I was working with Pete's outfit. But this is her banana pudding she made yesterday. And I'm a huge fan of banana pudding, and that looks so good. She did a wonderful, at least by looks, a wonderful job on that one. So I wanted to use her banana pudding. All right, before I get on with the news now, I got one thing about Thanksgiving. Amanda, I used to cook turkeys all the time. Well, for years, I went up to Harrisonburg to the girl I was dating for. She and I dated for 20 years, and I cooked for 40 every year at Thanksgiving. My family come up, her family would come in and, cook literally all week to get ready for it. And then when they wouldn't quit smoking up there, I ended up staying back here at home. And my signal just went out. Why did my signal just go out? I'm not sure why that happened. Can somebody say if you guys can still hear me? It back. It just flat went off. Okay, so anyway, I came back home and then I'd cook here. I'd cook turkey here. I fried turkey. I cooked turkeys 8 million ways, and I was always the one that did the carving. As I've gotten physically to the point where I can't stand up and cook anymore, and Amanda has taken over the cooking completely for this household. She does a nice job with not only with our daily food, but in the holidays too. But she absolutely hates to stick her hand up a turkey's butt. That is something that bothers her. So she's been trying to come up with it. She's getting turkey breasts, and she's done everything she could, so she doesn't have to do the whole thing with the turkey sticking her hand up its butt. And it's never bothered me. So she came up with a recipe from one of these women online about a turkey casserole. And they did it at Kroger's. We have the Taj Kroger right, 7/10 of a mile away or 9/10 of a mile away. So she went in there and asked them about it, and sure enough, They make a big casserole with turkey and dressing and everything into a casserole, so you're not carving and doing it. They do it all for you. You pick it up and you bring it home. And it's priced according, it's not bad. I don't know what she paid for it, but I mean, she'll complain if something's really expensive, and it wasn't. So we had turkey casserole. She made some gravy. She makes really good gravy. She made some deviled eggs. She made green bean casserole. We had cranberry sauce. She had some rolls. The casserole was absolutely delicious. It was just like a turkey dinner and a hell of a lot less work. Just saying, ladies, it's worth a try one year, because this was excellent. Matter of fact, I warmed up another plate for breakfast this morning, because I have to take medicine at 7 o'clock, 2 hours after I take my $13,000 a month pills. I cooked up, warmed up some casserole and some green bean casserole, and got some. The only thing I didn't do, I forgot to get the deviled eggs out. So I don't know, maybe we'll have those for lunch. But anyway, it was excellent. It was really good. So enough about Thanksgiving. Let's head on to Christmas now. All right. I'll be back with a whole bunch of news stories after a quick break from one of those fine network sponsors. All right, so Nestor, you're going to start off today with a bit of a sad story from the UK.
Virgin Voyages has issued a heartfelt tribute following the passing of Joan Templeman, the beloved wife of Virgin Group founder Richard Branson. Joan, known for her quiet strength and grounding influence behind Branson's global ventures, died at age 80. Branson shared the news in an emotional message on social media, calling himself heartbroken, and describing Joan as his greatest companion, friend, mother, and grandmother. He reflected on their 50-year love story, recalling their first meeting in an antique shop and praising her as a down-to-earth Scottish woman who kept him grounded through every chapter of his career. Virgin Voyages remembered Joan for her warmth and genuine connection to the cruise line. The company noted that she visited their ships, treating crew like family, and leaving a lasting impression with her kindness, grace, and humility. Crew members described her as uplifting and sincerely interested in the people working behind the scenes. Her care for our crew and the way she uplifted those behind the scenes perfectly mirrored the adventurous, compassionate spirit we strive to champion, Virgin Voyages said in its tribute. The cruise line extended condolences to Richard Branson, their children Sam and Holly, and Joan's cherished grandchildren. Authorities in St. Maarten are asking for the public's help to locate Ann Evans, a 55-year-old American passenger who disappeared during a shore excursion last week. Evans was sailing aboard the Holland America Line's Rotterdam, which docked at the island's cruise port that morning. She left the ship around 10 a.m. to join an island tour. During a scheduled stop in Montego, on the French side of the island, Evans stepped off the tour bus but never returned. She also did not make it back to the cruise ship. Police forces on both sides of St. Maarten, the Sint Maarten police force on the Dutch side and the Gendarmerie on the French side, are coordinating an active search. Authorities are urging anyone who may have seen Evans or has information about her whereabouts to contact them immediately. They also asked Evans, if she receives the message, to reach out to police or her family to confirm she is safe. The Rotterdam is currently on a 21-day round trip sailing from Port Everglades and is scheduled to return to its home port on November 28.
picture, not to a white background. Huh. But there, it's coming back. It just seems like it's taken a while. All right, we got a couple British fugitives, folks, having a little trouble over in Thailand. Nestor, tell us about Thailand.
3 British nationals are accused of illegally operating a bar on Koh Samui by using Thai women as nominees to conceal foreign ownership. The bar, Sin by Night, was allegedly run by 2 British fugitives wanted for robbery in the UK. Their mother, a British woman, was the registered shareholder, while 2 Thai women held nominal shares. Financial records show over 17 million baht was transferred to the foreign owner's account. The Thai nominees confessed to lending their names for a salary, violating the Foreign Business Act. Names of the British fugitives were not released.
Hey, it worked that time. All right, Nestor, let's hear a little something about the Japanese Japanese cherry blossoms.
A new Japanese luxury cruise line is redefining high-end travel by replacing traditional butler service with omotenashi, Japan's signature style of heartfelt, intuitive hospitality. Mitsui Ocean Cruises has opened bookings for 22 new all-inclusive voyages in 2026, each designed to coincide with the country's most celebrated seasonal moments. Aboard the Mitsui Ocean Fuji, guests experience heartfelt omotenashi service on Japan's most luxurious all-suite cruise ship, said Joe Maloney, head of North American sales. Our 2026 program offers unforgettable journeys, from cherry blossoms and Golden Week to summer festivals and holiday sailings. Founded in 2023 by Mitsui OSK Lines, the cruise line launched quickly by acquiring 2 boutique seaborne ships. Its flagship, the Mitsui Ocean Fuji, debuted in late 2024 after an elegant Japanese-inspired refurbishment. The 2026 itineraries are crafted around major cultural events, with round-trip departures from Tokyo, Yokohama, Nagoya, and Kobe. Highlights include cherry blossom voyages, March to May, sailings timed to follow the sakura bloom, including Sakura Serenade, March 18th, Petals and Ports, March 30th, and an 11-night Golden Week cruise, April 29th. Summer festivals. A 9-night journey aligned with Aomori's Nebuda Festival, July 30th, and coastal sailings showcasing southern Japan's summer fireworks, August 16th. Autumn and winter. Fall foliage journeys like Autumn Equinox in Southern Shores, September 19th, and festive holiday cruises including Coastal Japan Christmas, December 17th. Omotenashi remains the heart of the onboard experience, service that anticipates needs with sincerity and without formality. Gratuities are included, and most ports feature a curated shore excursion with an English-speaking guide, enhancing the cruise line's all-inclusive promise. For additional information, call Chile at 434-258-9264. Costa Cruises has officially launched its 2025-26 South America season following the arrival of the Costa Favolosa in Santos on November 23. The ship completed a transatlantic crossing from Italy and now begins a series of 3- and 4-night cruises to Brazilian ports including Ilhabela, Porto Belo, and Balneario Camboriú. In mid-December, the Favolosa repositions to Buenos Aires to operate longer 8- and 9-night itineraries to Uruguay and Brazil, featuring stops in Montevideo, Ilha Grande, and Rio de Janeiro, where guests can also embark. Later this season, the Costa Diadema will join the lineup after serving as a floating hotel during a climate summit in Belém. Departing from Santos and Itajaí, the Diadema will offer short sailings to Ilhabela before transitioning to week-long cruises visiting Montevideo, Buenos Aires, and spending 3 days at sea. While the Favolosa returns to Europe in March, the Diadema remains in South America through late April. Costa's deployment is part of a broader regional launch that began in October with MSC Preziosa. Additional MSC ships, including MSC Seaview, MSC Fantasia, and MSC Sinfonia, have already arrived, with MSC Harmonia set to begin Brazil itineraries in December. Royal Caribbean has cancelled at least one preview visit to Royal Beach Club Paradise Island on December 15th. The Nassau-based beach club is due to open on December 23rd, but construction is still ongoing. The grand opening has not been delayed at this point, but it's quite possible that more early previews will be scrapped. To schedule a visit to the Royal Beach Club Paradise Island, call Chile at 434-258-9264.
All right, Cunard's got some problems with the Queen Mary 2. Nestor, head over to New York. Tell us what's going on with Queen Mary 2.
Queen Mary 2 is still dealing with the fallout from recent propulsion pod issues, creating delays and itinerary changes that now affect both Thanksgiving voyages departing New York on Wednesday. The problems began when the ship had to divert to Bremerhaven, rather than Hamburg, during a Northern Lights cruise to repair a defective propulsion pod that reduced speed and maneuverability. The issue also caused a Southampton mini cruise to be cancelled and raised concerns about the November 19th transatlantic crossing, which ultimately departed on schedule. Upon arrival in New York, the ship reached the Brooklyn cruise terminal about an hour later than planned, prompting Cunard to ask guests to arrive 2 hours past their scheduled embarkation time to ease port operations and customs processing. The two impacted itineraries include a 19-night transatlantic voyage through the Eastern Caribbean and a simultaneous 12-night Caribbean sailing ending in New York on December 8. The 12-night cruise has now lost its planned December 4th call to St. Kitts. Instead, the December 2nd stop in Barbados has been extended into an overnight stay, and the visit to St. Lucia has been moved to December 4th. Cunard has not confirmed whether the changes are directly tied to the propulsion issues, but the adjustments are likely operational responses to the ongoing pod malfunction. Just days after Carnival Horizon developed significant propulsion issues in mid-November, another Carnival cruise ship experienced some technical issues of its own. Carnival Conquest recently experienced propulsion issues. As a result, a visit to Celebration Key was shortened and debarkation in Port Miami was adjusted. Propulsion issues can happen anytime for a variety of reasons. Soon after learning of the propulsion issues, cruisers were also notified that debarkation in Port Miami had been moved to a new terminal on November 21st. Instead of returning to Terminal D, where the cruise originally embarked, the voyage would now conclude at Terminal F. Interested in Conquest? Call Chile at 434-258-9264.
Out of New York yesterday in the Macy's Day Parade, Holland America had a float, the first time ever. I was a little disappointed this morning with the message I got from Holland America. There's not a picture of the float. There's the artist rendering that they designed the thing from, but there's not an actual photograph on Holland America's site. At least it wasn't this morning. So Nestor, tell us about the parade.
It was smooth sailing as Holland America Line's float cruised through the streets of New York this morning in the 99th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. The Alaska-themed showstopper featured multi-platinum singer-songwriter Jewel, an Alaska native, who performed her hit, "You Were Meant for Me," during the television broadcast in front of iconic Macy's Herald Square flagship. Designed to bring the wonders of Alaska to life in the Big Apple, the float dazzled millions of attendees and viewers at home with the largest kinetic sculpture in parade history. The scene depicted Alaska's stunning glaciers, abundant wildlife, fresh fish cuisine and Denali National Park, all signature experiences during a Holland America Line cruise and
Whoa, I cut out again. I just realized Nestor take that last night because he was talking about earlier in the day. Of course, that parade was yesterday.
Don't miss our Black Friday deals. Get our biggest savings of the year on products in the Scootaround store. We've got huge discounts on scooters, power chairs, wheelchairs, rollators, accessories, and more site-wide until December 1st. Act now. Use code BF20 to get 20% off. Shop online or call 1-844-664-7467. Use SRN 11137.
All right, Nestor, tell me what you found out about the Grandiosa, which I'll be on in February, as will John and Kenneth and Hot Air Tom and Cindy and Gary Older Than Dirt and Evie and Roger. Well, are going to be on one or the other or both of the Grandiosa cruises.
The MSC Grandiosa is currently offering a repositioning cruise to North America ahead of its maiden season in Port Canaveral. Having completed its summer season in the Mediterranean, vessel departed from Genoa on November 19th. As part of its transatlantic crossing, the MSC Grandiosa is offering a 17-night cruise that features visits to destinations in Italy, France, Spain, Florida, and the Caribbean. The itinerary is highlighted by stops in Marseille, Barcelona, and Las Palmas de Gran Canaria, in addition to visits to St. Maarten and Puerto Rico. Before arriving at its new winter homeport, Grandiosa is also scheduled to make a port call in Miami. Chile and friends will be on Grandiosa February 7th and February 14th. Join them by calling Chile at 434-258-9264.
What's happening in Montego Bay in Jamaica?
Montego Bay, long regarded as Jamaica's principal tourism harbor, has signaled its readiness to resume visitor operations after Hurricane Melissa with the homeporting of TUI's Mein Schiff 1, carrying 2,894 passengers. The ship's arrival marked the first call to the port since the storm's passage and served as a clear indication that cruise activity in the region is gathering way once more.
All right, folks. I don't want to sound political with this next statement. However, I'm about equally as happy about this as I am about tariffs. And I'm not a big fan of tariffs, folks. And that's not taking a political statement. I'm equally angry with both sides up there, the idiots in Washington. However, Nestor's going to tell us about the national parks to launch America First pricing.
Americans will get more opportunities to visit national parks for free in 2026, but international travelers will face significantly higher costs. Beginning January 1st, non-residents without an annual pass must pay an extra $100 per person to enter 11 of the most visited national parks, on top of standard entrance fees, the Department of the Interior announced on November 25th. U.S. residents will continue to pay the usual entry fees, which top out at $35 per vehicle. The America the Beautiful annual pass will remain $80 for residents, but the price will increase to $250 for non-residents. Visitors will verify residency with a zip code at purchase and a U.S. government-issued photo ID at park entry. Interior Secretary Doug Burgum said the pricing shift ensures U.S. taxpayers maintain affordable access while international visitors contribute their fair share toward park maintenance and improvements. Revenue from the higher fees will fund essential upgrades across the park system. Parks where the $100 non-resident fee applies: Acadia, Bryce Canyon, Everglades, Glacier, Grand Canyon, Grand Teton, Rocky Mountain, Sequoia and Kings Canyon, Yellowstone, Yosemite, and Zion. Starting next year, only U.S. residents will qualify for expanded, patriotic fee-free days, including February 16th, President's Day; May 31st, Memorial Day; June 14th, Flag Day, President Trump's birthday; July 3 to 5, Independence Day weekend; August 25th, NPS 110th birthday; September 17th, Constitution Day; October 27th, Theodore Roosevelt's birthday; November 11th, Veterans Day. A 6.0 magnitude earthquake rocked Alaska early on Thanksgiving morning, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. The earthquake struck just after 8 a.m. local time near Susitna, about 37 miles northwest of Anchorage. There were no immediate reports of significant damage or deaths. The tremors were felt all the way in Fairbanks, which is about 350 miles north of Anchorage. Diamond Princess will be joined by Sapphire Princess in East Asia for the 2027 season. This will double Princess Cruises' guest capacity in the region. Bookings for sailings on both ships will open on August 20th. If you are interested, just call Chili at 434-258-9264.
All right, so I got to share with you one other thing, folks. I make no bones about the fact that I can't stand any of the idiots in Washington on but either side of the aisle. I find fault with all of them. I find some fault with the president. I find fault with the Democratic leadership. So I'm not siding one against the other. But when the president was announcing about our death from one of the National Guardsmen yesterday, he went off. Now, the supposed alleged shooter, who is in custody, is supposedly from Washington State. And when the president announced the death of our National Guard lady, he went off on a tirade about Somalians raping and pillaging in Minnesota. So immediately I called John to make sure he was safe. And when he answered the phone, I said, "Oh, thank God you're safe, that you don't have Somalians raping and pillaging at the farm." And then I tried to find a geography book, a grade school geography book that we could send to the president, because apparently he was confused about Washington State and Minnesota. I had no idea why the Somalians came into play when you're talking about a guy from Washington coming across the country and shooting two National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C. Of course, he blamed that on the Democrats, too, although he actually came into this country when Trump was in office, but that's neither here nor there. I couldn't find a geography book to send him, but there seems to be some confusion about Minnesota and Washington. And what are they, John? They're a couple 100 miles apart, aren't they? Took me a damn long time to go from Minnesota to Washington on that train. Anyway, that puts an end to the news portion of today's show. I still got some time left that I can go over to the chat room and see who's fussing at me today, or if we've got anybody sharing anything about Thanksgiving. And so I'm not sure why my switching off between stories, I'm getting this white screen. I don't know. That's another curious thing about StreamYard lately that I can't get an answer to. All right, hi there, Tom and Steve is with us. Hi, Steve. Hi, Mike. Joanne's with us. Hi, Joanne. There's Gretchen out in Ohio. Bob is with us. Says, good morning, gang. Cold one today. Yeah, they're calling for some snow here tomorrow. I'm not excited about that. And Tuesday, I'm going to be running all over town Tuesday in my wheelchair, which could be a little dicey. Let's see. Joanne says lots of freezing chili. Yeah, it was cold. And the high temperature yesterday was only 40. So Gretchen says, "Why so dressed up? You look good." I've just gotten kind of tired of wearing t-shirts all the time. So I've ordered several shirts. I have collared shirts. I have one collared shirt, my white one that I wear on cruises. And it's really a little small for my fat belly. Although my weight's coming down a little bit. So, but anyway, I'm not going to do this every day. But, I've got a couple check shirts. I'm probably going to order a couple more. Maybe Santa Claus will bring me a couple. I've also got to work on scheduling here for going to Kentucky. So, Joanne says, "Can't hear you." Yeah, I might have tripped the thing off once. Hope y'all find some good Black Friday deals. Yeah, well, if I do any shopping today, it'll be online and not likely. I'm more of a Monday person. There's Roger. Good morning. I ate too much at Filipino friend's house yesterday. Ooh, a Filipino Thanksgiving. That's interesting. Did they have turkey or did they have more traditional Philippine dishes? I don't think I've ever had a Philippine Thanksgiving before. That's kind of interesting. Bob says we're doing the same dates on Explorer of the Seas, Eastern and Western. Come on, don't stick. All right, come on, chat room. I see one from Joanne, but I can't get to it. Am I frozen up? I'm frozen up. Damn it. Well, I don't know why I'm frozen, folks, but I sure am. There we go. Now let's see if you guys know him. StreamYard, Google Chrome not responding. There, back again. Lose the picture. Wow, I definitely have some technical issues here. Sonny says, hope you have a gorgeous Christmas snow up there. My camera is off. Let's try to get the camera back on. this camera, and we're trying to do one person. Frustrating technical issue. Okay, that's back. Now you should be able to hear me. Amy's with us, says hello. Sonny asked John if he had a great day. Good shopping day, y'all. Absolutely. John says, hi, gang. Disney float too. Yeah, the only difference was this was the first time Holland America did it, and Disney did it last year. Hi, John. Did you have a nice turkey day? Amy says, happy Black Friday. John says, we're on the north side of the snow, so we just got enough to cover the grass. Gretchen says, you dodged a bullet there. Yes, indeed. Gretchen says, we've got an inch, just enough to look festive. Nice. Sonny says, Michigan got a lot of snow yesterday, my old home state. I miss the snow. Hey, yeah. I'm not looking forward to it, Sonny. But then they got quite a bit not far from here, Gretchen says. Yeah, up there, closer to the lake than you are. Sonny, were you near our town in Mississippi? She was just watching the snow from down there. Sonny says, rest in peace, National Guard soldier Sarah Beckstrom. I totally agree. You know, I don't like the National Guard being used in the cities. However, I like less an idiot carrying a gun and going after him. And I don't care whether he's Republican, Democrat, Afghanistan, or West Virginia. It doesn't matter to me. An idiot carrying a gun and shooting at people, that's not the way to do things, folks. I don't think. Gretchen says, ha, I don't think I've ever said that myself, Sonny. Watching the show and snow and witching, I was there. Could you make snow angels? Not in an inch. Hope you get a gorgeous Christmas snow. Gretchen says, always at Thanksgiving, 50-50 for Christmas. Beautiful sun, too. I must admit, it's pretty. Gretchen, I only remember one Christmas Eve with a big puffy snow falling. One out of 25 years. Wow. Gretchen says, you look good, Chili. Thank you. There's Louisa. Hello, Louisa. How are you doing? What's your name? Handsome. This is a travel and cruise industry news podcast, Louisa. Roger says both American and Filipino. Wow, that's interesting. Almost everybody served in the U.S. military and settled here. Cool. Sonny says no sound. Yeah, that's when I got frozen up. Can hear you now. Thank you, Sonny. You're back. Okay. I'm back and I'm losing my voice. So, teleprompter. Why isn't that going off? There we go. All right, guys. That's going to wrap me up for the weekend. I'm not going anywhere. because next week's a pretty busy week for me. Plus, I start this iron infusion things. I am doing PT exercises every day, so it has me foresight because I'm doing things I haven't done for a long time. In the meantime, guys, thanks for being here. Smash that thumbs up button. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Y'all have a terrific Friday. Stay out of trouble with all the shopping out there. And I'll see everybody back here on Monday for Monday's Travel and Cruise Industry Podcast. Don't forget Wednesday, JJ Cruise. You guys have a fabulous weekend. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Think about cruising. And hopefully one day soon, we'll all get together on high seas. Have a great day, everybody. See you next time.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, chilly chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chili's Cruises.